The 2003 version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles introduced many new characters, one of whom was an unforgiving US government special agent. This agent, dedicated to protecting the Earth from aliens and mutants, committed some truly unspeakable acts. That is, until he opened his mind. But after centuries of causing harm, could these changes possibly redeem him? Join me in today's video as I explore the enigmatic agent John Bishop. Agent Bishop was a creation born from the collective ingenuity of the creative team behind the 2003 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series. He was voiced by David Zen Mansley. His introduction was crucial, as the show needed a new major villain for its third season, which marked the final season to feature the Shredder. This necessity was supported by Peter Laird, the Turtles' co-creator and the show's creative director, who was eager to explore new and compelling storylines. However, Peter was not entirely convinced by the initial motivations assigned to this new character. After numerous discussions and idea exchanges with Lloyd Goldfine, the showrunner, they finally sculpted a version of the character that Peter could endorse. Agent Bishop's origins trace back to the Battle of New Orleans in 1815, where he served as a soldier. During this battle, he was abducted by gray aliens right from the midst of combat. The aliens' motives were unclear, but their experiments left Bishop deeply traumatized. After his return to the battlefield, Bishop was haunted by the fear of a future alien invasion, a reasonable concern for a soldier who had just combated foreign invaders. In 1870, he re-encountered aliens at a crash site within US territory, an event during the presidency of Ulysses S. Grant that led to the creation of the Covert Earth Protection Force, or EPF for short. By the 1947 Roswell UFO incident, Bishop had become the head of the EPF. There, he managed to capture one of the gray aliens, which might have been among those who initially experimented on him. Over the subsequent years, Bishop's main objective was to develop enhanced humans through multiple experiments involving mutated DNA and alien autopsies, eventually leading to the creation of an army of super soldier clones of himself. Bishop's experimentation on humans is, ironically, something that he learned from his own experience of being experimented on by aliens. But the fact that they did something to him that may have allowed him to live for so long reveals that perhaps John Bishop was trying to understand that traumatic experience. At the start of the third season, the Earth faced an invasion by the Triceraton Republic, who were searching for the Fugitoid after tracing the Turtles to this planet. The Earth leaders were oblivious to the identities of both the Fugitoid and the Turtles. However, Agent Bishop managed to strike a deal with General Blank of the Federation, another Fugitoid adversary, in exchange for resources needed for a super soldier project. Bishop captured the Turtles and the Fugitoid, handing the android over to Blanc, and proceeded to examine the mutants. This experimentation was interrupted when Splinter, April, and Casey rescued the Turtles and Leatherhead. However, Bishop still escaped with their DNA. After this encounter, Agent Bishop antagonized the Foot Clan, as Oroku Saki was scouring the city for the remnants of Triceraton technology necessary to build a starship for escaping Earth and exacting revenge on the Utrons. Bishop needed both the technology and the starship, but ultimately failed to prevent Shredder from fleeing Earth. Despite having the Turtles' DNA, Bishop soon realized that reptiles weren't as similar to humans as rats. So he implemented a plan to force the Turtles and Splinter out of the sewers and proceeded to capture him. Splinter horrifically discovered a vast array of clones at Bishop's disposal, ready to be used as an instant army against any alien threat, created through highly unethical means. Bishop then unveiled his first super soldier, dubbed Slayer, who would later be known as this universe's Rat King. Not entirely human, Slayer was an enhanced clone of Bishop, equipped with cybernetic parts. The Turtles, Leatherhead, and the Fugitoid managed to rescue Splinter just in time. During the ensuing chaos, Slayer was washed away by a flood. Bishop, impaled by a hook during the conflict, seemed to perish, but quickly vanished from sight. You should check out my Rat King 2003 video to know what happened to Slayer. This was one of the early indications that Bishop wasn't entirely human, as evidenced by the color of his blood. It should also be noted that Bishop's combat skills were likely enhanced by years of genetic modifications. The idea that Bishop wasn't only experimenting on others but also on himself adds another layer to his trauma. But don't let this trauma win you over so fast, because the consequences of his actions were sometimes even more traumatic for others. On one occasion, Hun's Purple Dragons unknowingly stole an EPF cargo that contained a monstrous spider creature. During the creature's harrowing flashbacks, it was revealed that he had once been human, and that Agent Bishop had been the best man at his wedding. Despite being severely wounded and sliced, this creature demonstrated the ability to regenerate and reassemble its body. Bishop realized that the creature was heading towards its former wife's home. Tragically, it appeared to have died in an explosion at a propane filling station. His apparent death allowed him to escape alive, but knowing that he couldn't get close to his family again was probably the same as dying to him. This creature was indeed one of Bishop's friends, who had been used as a subject in his bioengineering experiments. It was even implied that he might have been volunteered for the experiment after failing on a mission. Following the Oroku-Saki debacle, Bishop enlisted Baxter Stockman's help to create a new body for himself, and in return, allowed Baxter to design a new body for his use as well. However, the EPF was facing severe issues. After failing to show results, the government withdrew all funding from the agency. Desperate to regain financial support, Bishop orchestrated a fake alien invasion, which involved abducting the president. This drastic measure proved successful, and the president reinstated their funding. As a consequence of the staged invasion, the media and government mistakenly identified the turtles as the aliens behind the president's abduction. The situation worsened when the ooze from Baxter's overexerted mutants triggered an outbreak, mutating creatures and even humans emerging from the sewers. Baxter eventually delivered on his promise, and was able to transfer Bishop's mind into a new clone. Having succeeded, he then tried to get himself a new body. This experiment would end in tragedy, as I already covered in the Baxter video. The infected animals and insects were capable of transmitting their mutation to others. In a skirmish with them, Donatello was bitten, and began transforming into a monstrous version of himself. The Turtles and Leatherhead sought Bishop's aid at Area 51 to cure Donatello. He agreed to help them in exchange for a mystical relic known as the Heart of Tengu, despite not yet having a cure. Bishop learned about this relic thanks to an anonymous source who told him it would provide him with vast knowledge. The Turtles retrieved the relic from the Foot Clan, and Baxter and Leatherhead managed to synthesize a cure that saved Donatello. Unfortunately, Bishop had been duped by the Foot Mystics into destroying the Heart of Tengu. This artifact kept them prisoners of Karai, therefore stalling the resurrection of the one true Shredder. Consequently, Bishop found himself compelled to assist the Turtles in battling the one true Shredder in what could be considered the show's original finale. As the show transitioned into Fast Forward, the Turtles were accidentally propelled to the year 2105. In this future, they discovered that John Bishop had become the president of the Pan-Galactic Alliance and was now overseeing the fair representation and peacekeeping of all races on Earth. This raised the question: how had Bishop undergone such a profound transformation over 100 years? The answer lay 50 years in the past, when a lab accident caused by Baxter set the EPF facility on a path of destruction. Trapped in the fire, Agent Bishop was saved by one of the escapee aliens. This act of kindness profoundly affected Bishop, leading him to realize that forming alliances was the best way to prevent an invasion. Consequently, he established the Pan-Galactic Alliance, which allowed aliens to visit and reside on Earth, mirroring the central theme of TMNT Volume 4 that was being published at the time. The Turtles would assist Bishop several times before returning to their original time. Bishop also managed to find Baxter and aid in his redemption. You might wonder how Baxter survived all those years. Well, he'd altered his genetic makeup with alien DNA, acquiring tentacles, among other changes. With his character arc having reached a satisfying conclusion in the future, Bishop's role diminished to a brief cameo in the series finale. The show's later years were filled with many what-could-have-been moments. I explored this in detail in the Fast Forward Season X video, where Bishop would have continued as president, occasionally asking Cody and the Turtles for help. But there were many moments behind the scenes when Bishop could have gone in very different ways, something we know thanks to the email sent between Lloyd Goldfine and Peter Laird. Bishop could have been an alien or a human-alien hybrid from one of the spacecraft that had previously crashed on Earth. Another version of his origin had him as a blank template that aliens used to craft soldiers for specific scenarios, such as amphibians or creatures capable of flight. Perhaps in this scenario, he would have assumed the identity of an existing Agent Bishop. Another concept was Bishop as an enthusiast of mutant animals, viewing humans as inferior and aiming to create hybrids that could eventually replace humanity. This would have allowed the introduction of many mutants into the show, delighting fans of the original cartoon and Playmates, although Laird was cautious about integrating these elements without solid justification. Agent Bishop made the jump into Mirage Comics in Tales of the TMNT Volume 2, number 61, where Tristan Hugh Jones included him in an uncredited cameo. Readers could only see his back, but Razorback called him John. Tristan later confirmed that John was Agent Bishop. Unfortunately, the book was cancelled before Tristan could use the character again. The character almost appeared in a non-canon tribute book that the fan site Go Green Machine was putting together. That story would have introduced Slash into the Mirage continuity, and Bishop would have been in it. Unfortunately, the book was cancelled after the franchise was sold to Viacom. While almost everyone loves a redemption story, it's debatable whether Agent Bishop truly earned his. He engaged in seriously unethical actions, including mutating his best friend and shattering his family. When the Turtles re-encountered him, Bishop had been working towards the greater good for 50 years. Given his seemingly immortal lifespan, it's possible he spent many more centuries contributing positively to society. So perhaps he may have redeemed himself over time. But what do you think? Was Bishop's redemption genuine, or was it too little too late? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, see you in the sewers.